Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Radiance Central, and I'm your host, Natasha St. Michael, and thank you so much for joining me. So today I want to talk about breakfast. Someone had left a comment on yesterday's video asking me what my opinion is on breakfast, and do I think breakfast is essential? Should everyone be eating breakfast? Great question, and quite a controversial question as well, I have to say. This topic, a lot of people have one view or another view on it, and I have to say, in general, my view with breakfast is that for some people it is essential. I would say for children or teenagers, anyone with a high metabolism, anyone that's growing, they need to be eating breakfast, okay? For that segment of the population, yes, breakfast is essential. But for adults, for people that have a slower metabolism, for people trying to lose weight perhaps, breakfast might not be essential. For some people, yes. For some people, no. I find what determines whether someone should be eating breakfast or not is actually what they're eating the night before. It's what's going on with your dinner and what's going on with your evening snacking that determines whether you should be having breakfast, how much of a breakfast, and also at what time. So the reason why I'm saying this is that there's kind of like two different types of people, right? There's some people that like to eat dinner late into the evening and they like to have snacks before they go to bed, and then there's other people that like to have dinner really early and they don't like to snack at night. And I find with these two different ways of having your dinner, it affects what happens in the morning. As if you're going to wake up in the morning and have an appetite and want to eat breakfast and super hungry and ready to go, or if you're going to wake up and want to skip your breakfast because you're not hungry, right? So a lot of it has to do more with what you're doing at night as opposed to what's going on first thing in the morning. And so the one thing that I can say is that if you wake up and you don't have an appetite and you're not hungry, then don't force yourself to have breakfast. There's no need to. You know, it's a lot of times people get really confused because they're always listening to like the authors or the experts. But really, you need to be connecting to your own hunger, your own body, your own rhythms, and your own body cues, telling you when you should be eating and when you shouldn't, when you should stop, how much you should be eating, things like that. Because connecting to that, you'll get into your own rhythm. And I find the downfall is that when people are always listening to the experts, they're thinking, oh, I must eat breakfast, but they had a huge dinner the night before, and then they're telling themselves they must have a breakfast on top of that huge dinner, and they're not even hungry, and they're just forcing more food into themselves, is that no wonder they're gaining weight, no wonder they're having problems controlling their weight or all of that. You know, it's because they're eating too much food. So a lot of times what we're eating prior to the meal that we're about to eat is going to determine how much we're going to eat, you know. So it's about listening to that as opposed to what someone is telling you. Now, the one thing that I do want to emphasize that I do think is essential first thing in the morning is being hydrated. Most people lose sight of this one, is that you need to be drinking water first thing in the morning. Everyone wakes up dehydrated, everyone, you know, especially if you're perhaps in a place where you're in a climate where you need heating in your home or you need air conditioning. These things dry out the air. And when you're sleeping overnight for at least 8 hours, you're not drinking anything and you're breathing heavily, and you might be in an enclosed room with not much air circulation, not much moisture. And so therefore you need to hydrate yourself. Everyone needs first thing in the morning to be drinking water, not coffee. Coffee is a diuretic. So that's just going to dehydrate you even more. So before you even have that morning coffee, have some water. Try and get into the rhythm of that as opposed to forcing yourself to have breakfast. Now, some people do want to have breakfast first thing in the morning, and if you do, that's great. Go with it. I know for myself, I'm a breakfast person. I wake up first thing in the morning, and I would say within the first half an hour, I need to eat. But I also know too is that I tend to like to have an earlier dinner. I don't really like to snack at night. So when I wake up, my appetite is revved up. I also know, for example, I can give my husband as an example. He's the opposite of me, that he loves to have snacks late at night, and he loves to have like a heavy dinner late at night too. And he wakes up in the morning and he doesn't have his first meal till maybe 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, sometimes even into the afternoon, you know, and he's off to work and doing very physical stuff. You know, but it's because he's had a heavy dinner the night before and he's still burning that off. And I can also say that there's people in between this where they have a really high metabolism that even if they have a huge meal the night before, they wake up and they're hungry. And if that's the case too, then eat your breakfast. Eat when you're hungry, as opposed to looking at the clock and being like, oh, it's mealtime. A lot of times people get caught up in that, that they should be eating breakfast at this time, and they should be having their lunch at this time, and their dinner at that time. Really, you should be listening to your body's clock. Now, if someone were to say to me, what is the healthiest way of doing it? Then I would say definitely have an early dinner. Try and go as long as you can overnight without eating, and have a good breakfast. And for some people, having that good breakfast would be first thing in the morning when they wake up. Other people, it might be an hour or two after they wake up. Some people really need to just ease into the day before they can eat. They just don't wake up with an appetite, and therefore they shouldn't force themselves. But I find in general that most people do much better if they're having an early dinner and they're not snacking at night, because really it's about your sleep. I would say the most important part of the day is sleep. That's when you're resting, that's when you're rejuvenating, that's when you're restoring your body. And that's the time when really you want to do all that you can to have the highest quality sleep. And unfortunately, food and meals interfere with sleep. Okay, if you're eating too much, if you're eating too late, and if you're snacking right before you go to sleep, then all the energy that was supposed to be used towards rest and rejuvenation is being used for digestion and assimilation. And so that's why a lot of times people wake up and they're still tired. A lot of times it's because their body's been so hard at work digesting a heavy meal that they ate right before they went to bed. And if you ate earlier on, then you'd go to bed and have everything already digested, or at least your stomach being somewhat emptied out, that your body can then focus in on restoring itself. So really the healthiest direction would be to have an early dinner, try not to snack at night, and then have a good long stretch of time without having anything, and then wake up the next day and have your breakfast when you're ready for it, when your body really wants it, and make sure to be well hydrated first thing in the morning. That, to me, that's like the recipe for success. So I hope this answered your question about breakfast. And if anyone wants to join, I should mention this because every month now I'm hosting a 7-day whole food challenge. The next one starts at the end of November. It starts November 24th. But if you're looking for breakfast ideas and ideas with your meals to eat healthy meals, then join us for the 7-day whole food challenge, because it's 7 days of eating 100% whole, real, natural food, fresh food, unprocessed food. You're eating real food for 7 days. No sugar, no white flour, no fast food, no junk food, none of that stuff. And this is a great program for anyone that wants to learn how to eat healthy, wants to some ideas as to what to prepare and what to do, and what they can make for their breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and get into the rhythm of eating really healthy stuff and taking care of themselves. This is a great way to jumpstart your diet, and something you can follow forever. This is not just like a crash week diet. This is something that I designed for you to be able to continue on with it forever and ever. And there's over 75 recipes, so plenty of recipes to do during the week and plenty of recipes to try out later on as well. So if you want more information on that, you can go to my website at radiantcentral.com, click on products, and you'll see 7-day whole food challenge there. All right, and click on that and more information is there. All right, so I'm wishing you guys a super fabulous day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.